WRVS-FM HD1 Elizabeth City State University. From the gridiron to the radio. This is ECSU Football Insider, only on WRVS 89.9.
Welcome, Viking fans, to another edition of ECSU Football Insider. My name is Clay Mercer, and with me right now is the head coach of ECSU Football, Adrian Jones. Coach Jones, welcome to today's show.
Thank you for having us. How about them Vikings on their first win?
I know it feels good. Everybody in Roebuck Stadium was excited, and I know the alums who were not there, who were listening to the game, well, I know they were excited too. We could see it in the games leading up to this one that a win was coming. You just didn't know when. Thankfully, it happened during Viking Showcase Saturday, and we're going to talk about it. Coach, coming off of a bye week, the players, I know they were itching to get back out there on the field and play an actual game. What did the coaching staff do differently during the bye week that you may not have done in previous weeks, if anything, and especially in preparation for Livingstone?
Well, the preparation was key for us, dotting our I's and crossing our T's as a coach, coaching staff, going back to the basics, doing a lot of individual drills, teaching how to tackle even more, going back to the basic coverages, just anything that we could do to try to be a better football team. We did a lot of things differently on the bye week, and just attention to detail and the energy. Mm-hmm. We learned that our guys feed off us, mm-hmm. and so we worked on, whenever we do have a bad practice, like we didn't have the greatest practice yesterday, mm-hmm. but like I told my staff, like they feed off us, so we got to give more energy to give them the energy, and just things that we got to do to be a successful football team.
Are you a true believer that what you do in practice transcends to what you do at the next game?
Absolutely, and I think that we had a great 2 weeks of preparation, probably the best 2 weeks we've had, and whatever we did those 2 weeks, we are doing this week. So it's big that we, continue to be the best version of us that we can be.
Yeah. The Vikings obviously were victorious in the Vikings showcase game against the Blue Bears on Saturday. Final score 39-27. It had to feel good to see the Vikings get a bounce-back win with a strong effort. Your key takeaways overall from Saturday's victory?
Well, the number one thing is we went in and said that we wanted to score points. So we scored points. We should have scored more. We wanted to be good on special teams. We did not want to punt. We punted the ball one time, and that was at the end of the game. So we knew if we didn't punt that we would win the football game. Mm-hmm. And we talked about focus. And I told my offensive staff and my players that every play that we call, you got to focus on that one play and just keep methodically going down the field. And whenever there's a big play, make sure we make those big plays. And we did that. And vice versa on defense, just focusing and dialing in and doing the best we can do, because we put our guys in good situations, but sometimes that lack of focus changed the outcome. So they were very focused on Saturday.
When you talk about not wanting to punt, is that more of a mindset that if you move into change, you don't have to punt? So is that kind of what that was as far as what you wanted the team to accomplish?
Absolutely. I'm a big 49ers fan, and I watched the 49ers game last week, and without all their great football players, they drove the ball down the field, they controlled the clock, and I kind of used that and said, this is what we want to do. We got all the bells and whistles that we need as a good football team to move the ball down the field. And I told Darius that I didn't want him to punt, and that kid bought into it. He said, Coach, if I don't punt, that means we win football games. So the unselfishness of our football team is the main reason why we won that football game.
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with special teams, because you said that's been a strong suit for ECSU this year. So it had nothing to do with that. It was just more the mindset of what we were able to do offensively. Outstanding to hear. Let's recap some of the scoring highlights from the game. And ECSU found the end zone at the 8:47 mark, which looked real good. A touchdown run by running back Traquan Johnson. You always like to establish the run game. Every game. Doesn't matter. You want that ground game to happen, and it seemed like it worked out pretty well early on in this one.
Well, when we're successful running the game, we compete, and I think that we ran the ball well. He only had about 50 yards rushing, but there were effective 50 yards of rushing. We told him that we was going to give him the ball, and he produced. And not only him, it opened up holes for Chris Perkins. We had a couple of design quarterback runs, and Chris Perkins had 80% of our offense on Saturday, and he plays like that. We shouldn't lose any more games if he plays the caliber game that he played on Saturday.
I totally agree with that. And Coach, go back to that mindset. Whether the running is 50 yards or you finish with 150 yards or 300 yards, you said it doesn't matter. They were effective yards. Speak on that a little bit more.
Controlling the clock. they disrespected us and onside kicked the ball to us, and it was a must that we go down the field those 50 yards and score. It was 10-play drive. It wasn't pretty, but I think our coaching staff did a great job of dialing up the great X's and O's that we put on to score that touchdown. I think that was the momentum for us to have a successful offensive day.
Whether it's Purdy or whether it's not Purdy, it's still effective. That's got to feel good because everything doesn't have to look great, but if it's getting the job done, I don't know if it really matters to you how it looks as long as that victory comes at the end of the game.
Well, our offensive coordinator want to always stay in front of the sticks, and I think that's what we did. You don't want no second and longs and third and longs. You want, second and medium, second and shorts. It makes a play caller a much better play caller when you're in great situations.
Mm-hmm. You talked a little bit about not giving up the big play, and unfortunately, Livingstone came up with a big one about 2 minutes later, a 67-yard touchdown pass that would tie the game up. What went wrong for us on that drive?
Well, one, I'll wear that when I put my freshman free safety in. We do rotate. I just think that was the wrong time to rotate him in. It was a bus on him. He was confused. His man was running down the field by himself. He came down on the run. I probably should have kept a veteran in there on that play on third down, and we probably get off the field. But I have confidence in that young man, Solomon Ford, and I just put him in a bad situation.
Yeah. You talked a little bit before this about you were going to play other players. You was going to try to use the depth that you have on this football team, and you just spoke about it. It may have been a mistake there, but I think overall it seemed to work pretty well for you in this one.
The rotation was key. If you go back and look at those games that we lost early in the year, it wasn't a mental thing. It was fatigue. Our guys were tired. Trayshawn, our linebacker, he's our starter, but he has to get a little break, and some other guys. So we did a great job of rotating, and I think our guys were fresh and energized.
There would be one score in the second quarter. Thankfully, it was ECSU, an explosive 73-yard run by quarterback Chris Perkins, and you spoke about how explosive his day was. Talk about that play specifically and how dangerous Perkins can be even when he runs the ball.
He did a great job of reading the defense. I think whenever he's able to run the ball and throw the ball, he is probably the best quarterback in his league. And he showed it. He's electrifying. We knew that he was fast. He done some things in that game that I'm still watching the film. Yeah. He's not a very big guy, but he plays bigger than he is. He's strong. He ran through a couple tackles. He made all the right reads as far as throwing the ball. So we're just going to continue to build and get better at that position.
We'll talk about Perkins a little bit later here in this show, but the Vikings will take a 13-7 lead into the locker room. It's not the first time ECSU has had the lead at the break. What did you take away from the first half overall, and what was your message to the team going into the locker room?
Well, we gave them those 7 points. We let them know that they shouldn't score any more points. We actually had the ball right before the half, and we should have scored. Going back, could have easily kicked the field goal, but I thought that we would be able to score. Chris made a bad read, should have threw it to the running back, but that's football. You're going to make mistakes, but our key was to come out and make sure we knew we was kicking the ball off, that we needed to stop them a 3-and-out, and when we 3-and-out them, we got to score. And we knew that if we scored another touchdown, that they would start folding.
Yeah, and that actually is how this game started to go. If you love offense, that third quarter was all ECSU, and it felt really good. Perkins capped off an 8-play, 64-yard drive with a 30-yard touchdown pass to Troy Smith, just another one of those wonderful receivers that we have. You've talked about the athleticism that ECSU has at the receivers, and just get them the ball, and things seem to happen in a positive way for Vikings.
Man, we have so many weapons at their wide receiver position. Any given Saturday, any one of those guys can step up, and we had 3 that scored. You had Troy Smith that scored. You had Shamar that scored, and TJ Holland. So you can't just dial up and try to stop Catrez Bracey. It's 5 or 6 guys you got to stop. But the key is our trigger man. Our trigger man has to be efficient and make sure that we get the ball out to our toys and make those guys have to make tackles with very fast, electrifying guys.
Thankfully, the air and ground was kind to the Vikings here in this contest. A little less than about 3 minutes later, Johnson would get his second touchdown run of the game and give the Vikings a 26-7 lead. What was working well for Johnson on that one, and pretty much the offensive line being able to give him the lanes he needed to make it happen?
I told him the offensive line that it was very important that we protect our quarterback and give our running back room to run on that second touchdown. Actually, it was a scramble by our quarterback, and Trayshawn did a great job of getting open and throwing him the ball. A little bit excessive celebration by our guys, but but we got to do a better job of that. That's something that we addressed. But people don't realize that was the number 1 football team in our conference at the point. And here it is, we got another team that's coming in that's number 1.
Sure.
And, we played like had a championship football team, but we got to continue to build and get better.
You don't beat the team up too much for the excessive celebration because, again, you want them to be excited and they want to learn to win. Yeah. So I'm sure you just tapped them on the hand and said, look, we got to act like we've been here before. But what was your conversation with them with the excessive – because they've done this before where they've had an excessive experience out there.
Well, once again, like you said, act like you've been there. I told those guys to feed off my energy. We had a couple celebration things that me and the guy, whoever scored a touchdown on the sidelines, I don't mind them celebrating, but let's bring it to the sidelines and go get on the track and celebrate, if you're not about to get in the game for special teams.
Sure,
just being aware and, like I said, act like you've been there. But I think that they fed off my energy. We had a couple celebrations that they wanted me to do, and I was full go with doing anything to get them to score touchdowns and be happy at the end of the game.
Well, you talked about being a better cheerleader for this football team, and I think you did a fine job of that on Saturday. Perkins, again, going back to him, he continued to use his arm really well throughout this game. He found Terrence Holland with a 21-yard touchdown pass. About 2:42 left in the third. The Vikings had a commanding 33-7 lead at this point. Good field position to start the drive, and the Vikings made Livingstone pay on this one.
Yes, we just had to continue to, like we say, kill a gnat with a sledgehammer. We knew that if we got them down, they were going to kind of fold, and I know that team. They're scrappy, but if you outplay them, they'll start getting out of character, and that's what happened. They got out of character. They started playing behind, and I think that we did a good job of continuing to score, not letting off the gas.
Offensively, again, you wanted to be very potent in this game, especially from the very beginning. How important is that to punch the other team in the mouth, whether you're on the road or at home, to get that jump on that team and then to see how they react to it?
It's very important that you jump on a team because as a game planner, offensive-minded game planner, when you score before their offense scores, it puts them in a bind and they start possibly panicking and might change up their game plan to match your energy. So I think that we did a great job of doing that, but we got to come back with a better team that we're playing this week and continue to get better and do the same things.
Livingstone will get a touchdown to finish off that quarter. ECSU will take a 33-14 lead into the final quarter. You talked about the team learning how to finish games, and when would that happen? And you feel like it was building to this. Your thoughts heading into the final quarter with that in mind?
Well, we heading into the final quarter. We in the fourth quarter we throw up our fours and then we bring each other together and we have a conversation. And my conversation was, play with some character, act like we've been there. Don't fall for the trap, Don't be doing extra things, under the pile and things like that because we didn't want to lose any of our guys for the next game. And I think we did a good job of that. But at the end of the day, I think we had a lack of focus. So I got on my coaches about making sure that our guys finish the game and finish it the way we want them to finish it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they took that message and ran with it. Perkins would find Shamar Sutton, as you talked about previously, on a 34-yard touchdown pass at the 8-minute mark to make the score 39-14. And ECSU will be able to walk 71 yards down to the end zone for their final score of the game. But that was pretty much all you really needed. At this moment, the game's not over. You always talk about the fat lady singing. The zeros weren't there yet, but you had to feel really good about the way that this fourth quarter was finishing out.
We did feel good because the way we were scoring points, shout out to Shamar. I think that was his first college touchdown. super fast young man. I think he did a great job. Perkins actually underthrew it. He did a great job of adjusting to the ball and making the play. His celebration, he did go to the track and celebrate, but I just think that we did a good job of that. At the end, though, when they started coming back, we put in our twos. A couple mistakes that we shouldn't make, but at the end of the day, I'm still proud of my guys. That a win is a win. You want it to be a lot prettier, but we'll take the wins no matter what.
Yeah, I don't think there was too many people in the stands nervous about it, especially with the way that the game was going. And Livingstone would score a couple more touchdowns to finish off that quarter, but it obviously wouldn't be enough as ECSU will pick up their first win of the season, 39-27. Final score, Coach Perkins, going back to him, he'd finished the game 18-21, 216 passing yards with 4 touchdowns. Not only that, 149 yards on the ground with 1 touchdown. All of that allowed him to pick up much-deserved CIAA Quarterback of the Week. Congratulations to him. Talk about his overall effort and the focus that he showed in this game.
Well, to start off, and I talk about this all the time, 8 of these players on this football team only played for Elizabeth City last year. Our offensive line, none of those guys played last year. Our defensive line, none of those guys played last year. 2 defensive backs played last year. Wow. So we have a very young team. Yeah. Perkins, nobody realized that when we recruited Chris Perkins, he was with us at Shaw University. He moved to wide receiver. Mm-hmm. So he didn't get any quarterback reps. Mm. When he came to Elizabeth City and we saw that we needed some more competition at quarterback, we spot played him at quarterback and some wide receiver. So it's taken him a little while to get used to being a general, but now he knows. I told him the week before the Livingstone game was you got to be our general. You got to lead us in the right direction. Coach Hess has to do a good job of making sure we call the right calls to get him comfortable. And now he's a comfortable quarterback. He knows that he has to be the quarterback. If we get up and we put in a backup quarterback, you will see him at some receiver. But right now, he's our starting quarterback. Mm. And he played lights out. I thought he should have been a national player of the week, but I'm not sure if somebody else had better stats than him. But that's what you want your quarterback to be able to do, a dual threat quarterback to be that efficient.
The team picks up their first win. You pick up your first win as head coach. You get that bath on you. I'm sure you had to get that stuff off of you, but I know it was a great feeling for all of you. Your feelings about how the whole game went and the experience of picking up your first win in Roebuck Stadium to get that first win as the clock went to 0.
It was a great experience because I love to see my kids smile. They were smiling. They were happy. Being able to shake hands and not to your opponent and not being down on yourself or what you could do better. It was just a great feeling. We had some great recruits that came to the game, and a lot of times those recruits leave before the game is over. What was ironic, like I told my coaches, they shook our hands and took pictures with us after the game. So I guess we showed a good product. The atmosphere was amazing. A couple of guys was talking, our recruits were talking about how they love the band and the fans. So I think all in all, as Elizabeth City State Vikings, I think we did a good job of showcasing how great this university is.
Now ECSU really gets prepared for a battle on Saturday against Virginia Union. Another big game, as we've talked about before. The schedule doesn't get any easier. We're going to preview this Saturday's game and talk a little bit more about your first win as a Viking head coach. All of that's coming up here on ECSU Football Insider.
Get your tickets now for ECSU football online at ECSUVikings.com.
Hello, my name is Brittany Lamb, and I volunteer at WRVS 89.9. The radio station has made it easier for ECSU employees to make a donation. Now, all ECSU employees may use payroll deduction. To sign up today, find us online at www.ecsu.edu/WRVS. Click the Forms and Documents tab and complete the payroll deduction form. Return it to us and you're done. Use payroll deduction to become a sustaining member of WRVS 89.9.
Honey, isn't it amazing?
What?
The sacrifice, the dedication, the grit. I mean, they really set an example, don't they?
Oh, well, no question. Today's high school athletes are truly special.
Not the athletes.
Well, who?
The officials.
Oh.
Today's student athletes are truly special, but there's something pretty great about the men and women who officiate their games, too. like the way they're giving back to their communities. Officiating is a terrific way to stay in shape, meet new people, and stay connected to the game you love. But the biggest reason of all? We need more qualified high school officials here in North Carolina. And without them, the rest of us would have a whole lot less to cheer about. High school games need officials. High school sports need you.
Great call, Rob.
Yeah.
Interested in becoming a licensed high school official? Go to highschoolofficials.com to learn more and begin the application process.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
I'm Michelle Martin. If you've been thinking about helping this station, but now's not the right time for a financial gift, how about donating a vehicle you don't need instead? Pickup is free.
Go online to wrvs.careasy.org.
Let's get back to ECSU Football Insider online at WRVS899.com.
Yes, back here on ECSU Football Insider, Clay Mercer with ECSU football head coach Adrian Jones. A great first win to the season for the Vikings over Livingstone, but now the Vikings have to prepare for a very talented Virginia Union team that's coming off a win themselves, 44-34 over Winston-Salem. It also seems like they always have a potent rushing attack, and that's the word that keeps popping out at me is how potent their running game can be. And the conference's leading rusher, Curtis Allen, will be a load for the Vikings defense to handle. What else do we know about what the Panthers are bringing here on Saturday?
Dr. Parker is a great football coach, man. He's done an excellent job with Virginia Union. They take on his persona. You know, he's a knockdown, drag out, run guy. He wants to run power. It's no secret. My Joes are better than your Joes at the end of the day. And we just got to play sound football. Like you said, they got a great rushing attack. But it's a challenge for us, you know, in order to be a successful team, you got to stop the run. In order to be a successful team, you got to be able to run the ball. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
For ECSU, the momentum is there. You just talked about Livingstone being the top team in the conference. They came in here, they walk away with a loss. How much of that coming from Saturday will help the Vikings as far as the momentum, keeping that on the blue and white side on Saturday's game?
Well, we talk about it. We control our own destiny. We got to protect the buck. I'm a firm believer in that. You got to protect your home turf. You can't let nobody come in your neighborhood and take anything, you know. So we're going to have a little chip on our shoulder, but it's got to all fall right in the right places, and our kids and our coaches and our fans all got to believe.
Yeah, definitely. Again, the Vikings will take on Virginia Union inside Roebuck Stadium. Game will kick off at 1. It's all about the color pink. It'll be all about breast cancer awareness, and our community partner Centera will have their mammogram unit out there, and they'll be providing free mammograms. So it's going to be a special time inside Roebuck Stadium this Saturday. You can still get your tickets and more information online at ECSUVikings.com. Coach, I wanted to give you the microphone a little bit. Coming off that first win, again, congratulations to you and the team. It's got to feel good, but you had to shake that off, and now you got to get ready for a big one coming up on Saturday. Help the Viking faithful get prepared.
Well, it's a 24-hour rule for our players. You know, we were very excited about that win. Coaching wise, it's like an 8-hour period. You know, we get 8 hours of celebration, then it's on to the next game. You know, I've looked at Virginia Union the week before. I always look at the team a week before just to see what they're doing. But it's imperative that we come out strong, no matter if we got defense on the field first or offense on the field. We got to 1, 3 and out them. 2, if we get the ball, we got to score. So I think that we got a good game plan. It's just once again, our trigger man can take us to the promised land. Yeah. He has to be the general. I think that he understands the pressure now. Mm-hmm. Being a quarterback, and our offensive line got to do well, and our defense got to play sound and be a physical football team on Saturday.
Yeah, we hope to see all of that in the Buck. Again, game kickoff at 1. Coverage on the radio of that game will begin right around 12:30. And Coach, again, another congratulations to you and the team, and it's on to bigger and better things. Can't wait for it. Family, if you missed out on any parts of today's show, you want to catch up on past shows, just go to the WRVS 89.9 YouTube channel or the WRVS Podcast Network and listen anytime. Coach, again, thank you so much for making this show happen weekly. Can't wait to catch up with you next week with what should be hopefully another Viking win over at Roebuck Stadium.
Thank you, but once again, we need that 12th man to protect the Buck. We know how important it is to protect our home turf. Come on out and celebrate with us on Saturday.
ECSU Football Insider is produced at WRVS Studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University, powered by the ECSU Department of Radio and Television Services. Learn more online at WRVS899.com.